Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy hump day, one and all. Thanks for hanging out with us for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Online at 580WIBW.com and in living color on our video streaming channels. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever you're listening to the show today, thanks so much for making a part of your media diet. Thanks for being here for 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a little while for a little bit. Brendan Dorsinski is off today, so it's a whole lot of me for the next 3 hours. Hope that's okay with you. I look forward to spending the time with you on this Wednesday. There's much to discuss, as there always is on the show today. We're going to talk some Chiefs as we go along on the show today. I said everybody wears a piece of what's happened to the Kansas City Chiefs this season. As their playoff odds dwindle, as it becomes increasingly unlikely that they make the playoffs. Though, let's be real honest. The numbers say 11%, right? Like that's what the playoff odds are. 11% chance for the Chiefs to make the playoffs going into Week 15. They have to win out. They need the Chargers to lose to Denver in Week 18. They also need them to lose to either Dallas or Houston. And they need the Colts to lose 2 of their last 4. And doesn't that feel a little bit more feasible than 11%? Honest to goodness, the part I have the most trouble seeing happening is the part where the Chiefs went out. Like, that's where we're at with the Chiefs. Like, could I see the Chargers charging away a playoff berth? Absolutely. I wasn't born yesterday. The Chargers are the Chargers. I've been doing it my whole life. Would that shock me? They lose 3 of 4? No, absolutely not. That's what the Chargers were put on this earth to do. The Colts might lose out. They're going to feed Phillip Rivers to the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. That old man is going to crumble into dust. So, like, those aspects of it are kind of feasible, reachable. It's the Chiefs winning out I have a problem with. Like, I can't, right now, I can't get there. And I've had no problem getting there. I've been insisting they were going to win out for like 7 weeks. And they keep losing games. So I'm no longer putting my faith in that part of the outcome for sure. But 11% chance you make the playoffs means 89% chance you don't. And I said yesterday, everybody, and I said on Monday too, everybody wears a piece of this. Everybody. From Brett Veach to Andy Reid to the coordinators, position coaches to the 53-man roster, everybody wears a piece. How big is Patrick Mahomes' piece of this? Because a player as great as Mahomes in his prime, and let's be really clear, it is the exception rather than the rule that the Green Bay Packers have had uninterrupted since 1992 above average quarterback play. Like, that doesn't happen. Because I think Jordan Love's pretty good. I don't know that he's on the same level as Rodgers and Favre, but even if you want to keep Jordan Love last few years out of this, a 20-plus year stretch, darn near 30 years of elite, top-of-the-pops quarterback play. That does not happen. That is the exception that proves the rule. So whoever comes after Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, they ain't going to be Patrick Mahomes. So you get one of these guys, generally, in your history. One. And if you take one of those years and pratfall and miss the playoffs, it feels more like that player is being failed more than that player is failing. But we'll go behind the numbers. How much of this does Patrick Mahomes wear? And I think there is a piece of the blame he takes for this season. But I don't think it's anything that the numbers necessarily quantify. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. Plus, a further check-in on just how badly, let me rephrase, how much money the Chiefs are lighting on fire this year. As a percentage of their cap, it's too much. Also, today, At One Arrowhead Drive, Chiefs are back to work, getting ready for the Chargers on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium, a noon kickoff, a late December noon home kickoff in a division game. Didn't get flexed, anything like that. We live in strange times. Chiefs Chargers on Sunday, which means on Wednesday we hear from the head coach, Andy Reid, and we hear from the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And we'll hear both Reid and Mahomes' press conferences on the show later on. We're going to talk some college football. I don't want to overstate the number of people or the percentage of people who are disappointed that the Kansas State football program decided to decline a bowl invitation. But it's not zero. There are a lot of people, and I heard from some of you, on the text line, heard from some of you in the YouTube comments that are disappointed that the Wildcats decided not to go to a bowl this year. I don't have a problem with it, frankly, but it has sparked a larger discussion locally, and nationally the discussion is sparked by 10-2 Notre Dame deciding, oh, you're not going to put us in the playoff? Well, we don't want to go to any bowl. We're going to skip a bowl. And that's led to a lot of discussion, and it's a little overwrought, as these discussions tend to be when we're declaring something to be dead or over. A lot of people think this is the end of the bowl. Bowl season is going to go by the wayside. And I think that's a half-truth. I think there is something to that idea. I just think the bowls moving forward are going to serve a different purpose. And I'll explain what I mean when we get into that a little bit later on. Plus, speaking of the Wildcats, we will get the invaluable perspective from Tim Fitzgerald coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Fitz is our guest today on what we call the Wildcat Wrap-Up, presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. We'll hear from Fitz again at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour and get his thoughts on Colin Klein's introductory presser and his thoughts on everything that K-State must now do to lay a foundation as a second national signing day approaches, as transfer portal business starts getting done, laying the foundation from now until next fall for year one of the Colin Klein era. Tim Fitzgerald, again, joining us from GoPowerCat.com at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Plus, our typical Wednesday show shenanigans. We'll do What Is Wrong With You. We'll have some 580 Sports Talk headlines. And in lieu of One Gotta Go today, might throw it open for a little Ask Me Anything. Haven't done that in a couple of weeks. That's always a good time. You folks always ask good questions. So we'll do an AMA with yours truly in the 5 o'clock hour. Should no notable news break between now and then. Like, I suppose the Royals could, do something, do anything, and we could talk about the Royals. But, yeah, so consider that segment in the 5 o'clock hour. You know, what's the meme? This is where we would talk about the Royals transactions. If they would make one, they're not doing anything right now. They're chilling. And then JJ Piccolo's chilling. He went to the owners' meetings and maybe rode the rides at Universal Studios in Orlando. But he's not coming home with a new outfielder or a trade for another bat. Haven't had that yet. So we can talk about that and hit on some other things as well as we go along on the show today. Want to hear from you, as always. Text line's open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat. The live chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the channel if you have not already. 21 subscribers away from our stretch goal of 900, at which point we will do 580 Sports Talk Idol. So go subscribe to that channel today. And if you're watching live from 3 to 6 Central on the YouTube channel daily, hop in that live chat. Say hello, interact with your fellow listeners, grow the 580 Sports Talk community, and interact with your hosts as well. Clayton's in the chat today. Good to see Clayton. And ask if Brendan and Spencer still work here. They do. They're around. They just have other things that they're doing. This is the only thing I do. And not the only thing I do. I do high school basketball. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff I won't bore you with, but I'm responsible for a lot of things. But I am primarily responsible for this thing. And this is not the primary responsibility of the rest of the crew at this precise moment. So that's why they kind of come and go in and out here and there. That's just the way the cookie has kind of crumbled here, particularly these last few weeks, but really for the last 6 months or so. So that's hopefully that answers your question as to, hey, where is everybody? This is a lot of Dan. Where's the rest of the guys to mellow him out a little bit? So hope that answers that. Also in the chat today, Christopher's in the chat. I love seeing the camel emojis when Christopher's in the chat on a Wednesday. Always appreciate those. Reminds me that it is in fact hump day. You lose track of the days when you have a toddler. I'm sure anybody who has raised children can relate. But those days run together when those nights get long, when you don't get a lot of sleep, and we're in one of those phases right now. So thank you. I always appreciate the reminder that it is, in fact, Wednesday. Mark H. in the chat. Good to see you. See Vance in the chat. Always good to see you, Vance. Look forward to seeing some more of you and some new faces join the chat. Don't be shy. It's not a closed group. It's not exclusive. All you got to do is hop in the YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. Because 30-year-old Patrick Mahomes, and we would still consider this Patrick Mahomes' physical athletic prime, looks poised to miss the playoffs. And I went back and looked. It would not be the first time, even in modern memory, that an all-time great quarterback missed the playoffs in a prime season. It would be far from the first time that has been the case. Maybe you could argue that 35 years old is stretching it when it pertains to physical prime, but Aaron Rodgers, as a 35-year-old starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers in 2018, missed the playoffs. They went, I think, 6-9-1 that year. I consider that still his prime because he won the next 2 MVPs, and the Packers went to back-to-back conference championship games after that. But still, Aaron Rodgers, full year starting quarterback, healthy. He had been hurt the year before, and the Packers missed the playoffs. The year after that, they missed him again. Aaron Rodgers missed the playoffs in 2018. 2001, 25-year-old Peyton Manning missed the playoffs with the Indianapolis Colts. And Manning maybe was not as good at that moment as he was going to get, but he had received MVP votes in the 2 years previous. So he's already, Peyton Manning. Brett Favre missed the playoffs in 1999. 30-year-old Brett Favre. That was the first year post Mike Holmgren in Green Bay. They missed the playoffs. Favre had won back-to-back-to-back MVPs earlier that decade. Was still very much in his prime in the late 90s. Missed the playoffs in 1999. It happened twice to John Elway in his late 20s and early 30s. They went to the Super Bowl in 87. We remember what happened there. They missed the playoffs in 88. They went back to the Super Bowl in 89. We remember what happened there. We remember what happened to most of John Elway's Super Bowls until they got him a running back. They got mollywopped. And then in 1990, John Elway missed the playoffs again. This is an all-time great, one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks of all time. Never a first-team All-Pro. People forget that. But an all-time great. Missed the playoffs twice in his late 20s and early 30s. Twice in 3 years. And you go back to Dan Marino in 1986. Missed the playoffs at the age of 25. 2 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance. Now, things are different now than they were then. There's an extra playoff spot, so it becomes even more inexcusable to miss the postseason. But Patrick Mahomes, I say that to say, would not be the first quarterback in the prime of his career to find himself on the couch in January. The thing about it, though, is when we compare Mahomes to the all-time greats, we're not comparing him to Rodgers. We're not comparing him to Elway. We're not comparing him even to Peyton Manning. In my opinion, he's surpassed those guys already. There's one guy that we compare Patrick Mahomes to historically. One guy whose achievements and accomplishments he is trying to reach. He is striving for to become the GOAT, as the kids say. And I guess as I say too. And that's Tom Brady, and he only missed the playoffs one time, and that was in his second year as a starter. That was it. Year after that first Super Bowl, the Patriots missed the playoffs, and of course they won the next 2 Super Bowls, didn't stop winning the division for many, many years after that, even in Brady's last year, where he was just about a shell of himself. He was still capable, but he was not capital T Tom, capital B Brady. He was not touchdown Tom by the very end there. Even that team made the playoffs. Now, they were 8-9. They stunk. There's a decent chance the Chiefs finished with a better record than that this year. I think the Chiefs are going to finish with a winning record. I do. I think they're going to beat the Titans. They're going to beat the Raiders. And I think they're going to get at least one of their other two games, the Chargers or the Broncos, both at home. They get one of those, they will finish with a winning record. Tom Brady's last season, they had a losing record, but they made the playoffs. So it doesn't get held against Tom Brady, which more than using that as a demerit against Mahomes, what it should make you appreciate, honestly, about Brady and what the Patriots did, two things. Number one, their consistent excellence, but also the consistent ineptitude of the AFC East for all those years. Like the Jets had that 2-year run with Rex Ryan, and other than that, the AFC East was bottom-feeding scum for the entirety of Tom Brady's run as the Patriots quarterback. The Dolphins were never good. The Bills were never good. And the Jets were only briefly good before they remembered they were the Jets. Like, that's wild, right? That's how they won all those divisions. Who was challenging them? Was there ever a coach in the division at the same time as Tom Brady and Bill Belichick who had done anything of note? Was there ever a franchise that went out and hired a Sean Payton or a Jim Harbaugh and got serious? And never happened. Never happened in the AFC East. So it's not apples to apples what the Patriots did and what they were up against and what the Chiefs have done and what they've been up against. But that's the standard. Fairly or unfairly, and I happen to think it is fair, because if we want to crown Patrick Mahomes, and I think he's the best I've ever seen, like at playing the position, but best at playing it and best at all of it, the stuff that's on the stat sheet, the intangible stuff, and the winning. He's chasing Tom Brady. And this isn't going to help if they miss the playoffs this year. Fairly or unfairly, that's the standard. What do the numbers say about Mahomes' season so far here in 2025? His completion percentage as it stands right now, 63.1%, would be the lowest mark of his NFL career. His touchdown pass percentage of passes that were touchdowns, 4.6%. That's 0.1% higher than the last 2 years, which are tied for a career low. He's throwing interceptions on 2.1% of his passes. Only 2023 was worse in that department. His success rate, again, we reference success rate a lot, and I always try to lay it out because maybe somebody's brand new to the show. Success rate is 40% of necessary yards on first down, 50% of necessary yards on second down, third down or fourth down conversion. That's how you determine what a successful play is. Patrick Mahomes is the all-time leader, according to Pro Football Reference, in passing success rate. He's the all-time NFL leader in that category. His success rate this season, 47.9%, is a career low. His yards per attempt, higher than the last 2 years at 7.2 yards per attempt, but lower than every other year before those two. His quarterback rating, 91.2, career low. QBR, 69.4. Actually, his second best in the last 5 seasons. And the sack rate, he's taking sacks on 5.77% of his dropbacks. Why Pro Football Focus goes to the, or Pro Football Reference goes to the 100th place there, I couldn't tell you, but that is the second worst of Mahomes' career. And this is with a stretch of play from weeks 3 through the bye that I thought was up there with as good as we've ever seen Mahomes. At the midway point of the year, he would have been my MVP pick. He would have. But the numbers suggest that this is one of the lesser years in what has been a brilliant career. And it goes to the question I asked on Monday on the show. Why does it look so hard for the Chiefs on offense? Why does offense look so hard? And there are a lot of reasons for that. Offensive line is patchwork. Offensive skill talent isn't very good. Teams do not respect the run threat against the Chiefs. The scheme is stale and predictable. But I was listening to a podcast, a couple of guys named Mike Tanier, Mike Lombardo, both longtime NFL writers, guys who cover the league. I think they're both Philly guys. And they were talking about the Chiefs. They did a podcast episode this week. I think it's called Between the Hash Marks. I want to make sure I get that right. But it was a podcast episode with Matt Lombardo. Did I say Mike? I meant Matt. Matt Lombardo and Mike Tanier. And it is called Between the Hash Marks. And you can go and you can hear that podcast wherever you get your podcast. And they did sort of an autopsy, even though they're not dead yet. Like, shoot, the Eagles are going to make the playoffs, I think. Their schedule, they play the Commanders twice. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. But it was a bit of a what went wrong, what's gone wrong for the Eagles and the Chiefs. That was the theme, the crux of the episode. And what they talked about with regard to the Chiefs, they referred to what they called an overcommitment to hero ball. And drew a straight line from that to what late stage Philadelphia Eagles Andy Reid football looked like, where late in Reid's tenure in Philadelphia, there was a lot of Donovan McNabb just scrambling around and launching deep balls and trying to make stuff happen. And then after McNabb was Michael Vick, who still had some life in his legs after he did that prison sentence for fighting those dogs and worse. And he was scrambling around and chucking deep balls and playing a lot of hero ball. And the point that Tanier and Lombardo are making is, why can't the Chiefs just do normal stuff? Why do they have to rely so much on Mahomes having to do heroic stuff? And some of that is on Mahomes. Some of that is on Mahomes maybe not taking the easy throw or the easy scramble or trying to do a little bit too much. But I do think that is a knock-on effect of having had offensive linemen he can't trust and a wide receiver group he can't trust and a running game that's ineffectual and doesn't work unless it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, then it's fine. And Mahomes feeling as though he has had to do the hero stuff, that he has had to put everything on his back instead of just take the 6-yard completion. Get to the peak of your drop and let it rip. And I don't think the Chiefs give him enough opportunities to do that, to be honest. So again, I don't even put all of that responsibility on Mahomes' shoulders. But I do think they got away, especially this year, from some of the boring passing game success of the last couple of years, as Mahomes has desperately tried to create explosive plays with an offense that isn't built to generate them. So I think that's what's happened. And I think that's where, if we're going to point a finger at Mahomes, like, is he more or less to blame than Andy Reid or Matt Nagy or Brett Veach or, pick your scapegoat? I don't think so. I'd put him, again, extremely low on the list of problems. But again, everybody's got a piece. Failure has many fathers. Everybody's got a piece of this. And Mahomes' piece of it is trying to do too much. But again, that's a knock-on effect of what's been put on his shoulders by this offensive coaching staff and by the talent that surrounds him. Now, what the Chiefs have done right for Mahomes is build an offensive line that, when they're all healthy, Mahomes can trust. And that's why I think you saw the offense perform at the level it was performing at right up until that Bills game where guys started dropping like flies. Is that Mahomes was comfortable behind his offensive line and didn't feel like, well, I got to drop my eyes and bail out of this pocket if my first read isn't open, because otherwise I'm going to stand back here and I'm going to be target practice. I think Mahomes was just getting back into that ability to trust what was in front of him and trust that he would have time to read things down the field and make throws. And then that situation all went to hell. And in the last couple of weeks, and again, I think it started with the Bills game, it's been a lot of trying to play hero ball from Mahomes. But he can trust this offensive line. And if they can put a better playmaking structure around him, look, Peyton Manning missed the playoffs in 2001. Best years were ahead of him. John Elway missed the playoffs in his late 20s. They thought he was washed. He wasn't. Brett Favre missed the playoffs as a 30-year-old. He wasn't washed. Aaron Rodgers missed the playoffs as a 35-year-old, won the next two MVPs. If the structure around Mahomes is better, he's going to get back to that exceptionally high level. And it may never look like 2018, 2019, 2020 again, but it will be MVP level. It can be MVP level from him. But the reason it isn't this year, it's partly on him, but it's more on what was assembled around him. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Chiefs have lit a lot of money on fire this year. We'll discuss. We'll hear from Andy Reid. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes later on. I did not get a chance to ask him about my exhaustive research at his press conference today, but he took some other questions, so we will hear from QB1. Tim Fitzgerald's going to join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We got a jam-packed show today. So glad you're along for the ride here on 580 Sports Talk. Just starting on this edition of 580 Sports Talk, Dan Lucero with you. Thanks for hanging out on this Wednesday. Hope you didn't blow away with that wind earlier this morning. I had a colleague in Northwest Kansas, the late, great Curtis Duncan. He used to refer to days like today as a two-hat day, because if you only had one and it blew away in the wind, you were out of luck. You didn't have you needed to have a second hat on hand. So you would make sure if you lost one hat, you have another. I am not wearing a hat today, as viewers of the live video stream on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube and WIBW News on Facebook will note. Typically, if I'm not wearing a hat, that means I probably had to sit in a meeting. So, draw your own conclusions on that. That or I'm going out to cover a game. So it's usually one of the two. But no hat for me today. But thankfully, it did not blow away in the wind. Earlier this season, we pointed out that the Chiefs have paid a lot of money to certain players who have not produced a lot for this year's team. That is even more true as we get further along into the season. 5 of the top 10 cap hits for the Chiefs this season, 5 of the players with the highest cap hits on the team for this season have performed, I think, below average to their positional standard. So this spares Chris Jones, because is he producing like a $23.6 million cap hit you'd like to produce? No, but is he still an above average defensive tackle? Like he's a waste of money? Is he a waste of a roster spot? No, nobody's calling him that. He's coming off the best game of his season on Sunday night. So yeah, the dip in sack production has been harmful, but we're not pointing the finger at Chris Jones for the sake of this exercise. That's the 3rd highest cap hit on the team, by the way, Chris Jones. Mahomes obviously is first. Juwan Taylor is between those two. That's 9.81% of your salary cap for a right tackle who's been subpar and has been hurt and doesn't seem close to returning. And we don't blame him for his injury, but that's money that wasn't very good when it was on the field and now isn't on the field. Jalen Moore has the 6th highest cap hit on this team, and right now is being asked to play a position that he is not best at. He is a left tackle. Right tackle has not worked out real well for him, but that's 4% of the salary cap. Drew Tranquil's at 3% of the salary cap, and I don't think Tranquil's been terrible, but you could tell he's lost a step. He's 30 years old. You could tell he's lost a step this season. Michael Dana has lost a step. He's 28 years old. He's on a cap hit. It's 2.88% of the salary cap. It's the 9th highest cap hit on the roster. Michael Dana, and he doesn't do anything. Like, just doesn't do anything for this team. 10th highest cap hit is Christian Fulton. And, Michael Dana at least plays. He's at least on the field. Christian Fulton can't get on the field. And when he did get on the field, he sucked. That's the 10th highest cap hit on the roster. 11th highest cap hit, Hollywood Brown. He producing at that kind of a level? Could you have had somebody with less of a cap hit or a higher drafted rookie on a rookie deal produce what Hollywood Brown has produced this year? Yeah, you probably could. Those are 6 of your top 11 highest paid players, or your highest cap hits that have been below average performers for the Chiefs this season. And I don't blame the Chiefs for allocating the resources necessarily in the way that they did. The Fulton signing was a disaster, but you could see the vision for everybody else on that list. But sometimes what happens is the core of a team gets old fast. And if you want to argue, I think it is probably true that all the extra football, all the extra high stakes games, all the extra mileage on this team and this core has probably accelerated that aging process a little bit. And if you're wedded to a core that gets old fast, you run into a problem before you know there's going to be a problem. And that's what's happened with this Chiefs roster this year. We'll take another timeout. When we come back, we'll hear from Andy Reid after this on 580 Sports Talk. 3:43 on 580 Sports Talk. Some breaking news during that commercial break from the world of college football. Michigan has fired their head coach, Sharon Moore. And per the reporting of Pete Thamel of ESPN, the firing is set to be for cause. Moore took over for Jim Harbaugh, of course, after Michigan won the national championship. Harbaugh left for the Chargers. Michigan was 16-8 the last 2 years, 9-3 this past season. Lost to Ohio State. Apparently, that was the last straw. I didn't think he was that great a coach, for being honest. But still kind of a surprise. That's pretty late in the cycle to decide you're going to make a coaching change, which tells me Michigan's boosters have somebody they want and are willing to pay a lot of money to get. And who that is, I could not guess. But that's breaking news from college football. We'll have more on that on headlines. One coach who is not getting fired is Andy Reid. He's the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got 4 games left to try and rescue their season, and he spoke to the media earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. Here's Big Red.
The guys that won't practice today are Wanye and Juwan. Wanye is going to take a little time here, but Juwan's making progress, and we'll just see how he does this week as he works through this thing. Trey, the rest of the guys are practicing today. Look for the challenge of playing, playing the Chargers, good football team, a great environment for a football game. And our guys are going to have a good week of practice this week and get themselves ready to roll. So with that, time's yours.
Yeah, and he just won. Trey, you feel good about where he's at right now?
Yeah, well, we'll see how he does today. He'll be in there today, though. Yeah, just he's feeling better, though.
Would the Trey McDuffie kind of dodge a bullet with that after extended knee, or is there a possibility that you're seeing he's that?
Yeah, we'll just see how today. Let's see how today goes. He, he's been sore, so we'll see how it works through the week. But he'll go today and see what he can do.
Coach, what have you seen so far from the guys, like attitude-wise, attacking this week? I know this is an unfamiliar position for most you guys on the staff for a long time. What have you seen from them so far?
Yeah, they want to get to work. That's kind of how they're wired, and so I think they're eager to get back on the field and get going. Everybody knows. I mean, they know where we stand right now. They know what's taking place, so very aware. But they also like to work. So I'll get back to it.
Andy, when you look at the receivers room, I know that had to be a very frustrating day for them, and along with Travis too, inside of the room. But just what's their room been like throughout the course of this, and just trying to make sure they correct it.
Yeah, sure. These guys, they've got good hands, and they're proud guys that normally catch the football. So things happen in this business where you might drop a ball once in a while. So you got to go back and you got to catch a few more balls at practice and focus in on it, and we go from there.
And on that topic, when you're calling plays, when you're designing plays, and the plays are obviously that will drop, how do you adjust to versus react to those moments when they're there?
I got trust in the guys. I mean, it's not a common thing for the guys that have had some mishaps there. So they'll work through it. That's what you do. I mean, they're good players, and we're always looking at it from a coach's standpoint. Can we put them in better positions? So we're never going to stop doing that either. Try to work to their strengths.
Given you missed so much time last year, and had this game suspension to start the season, and just how interested and fascinated are you to see how Reid does respond to some of the mistakes he's had over the last years?
Yeah, he's a tough dude, a young guy with a lot on his plate, and he's powering through it to the best of his ability right now. And that's how he's going about his business. He comes to work and works, and it's unfortunate that he had a couple of these drops, but it's not for lack of effort or focus that way. But to say he doesn't have a lot of things going, there are a lot of things going there.
Is part of it just under the natural progression, trying to be a number one receiver, and defense is sort of identifying you more so than say in 2023 when he was a young player, obviously in the rookie season?
No, I don't think that. I think he understands that, and he's had some good games too. So it's not. We get locked in on the last couple here with the drops, and that's not normal for him.
No, I know that Juwan's availability could shake it up, but just confidence in Pole if it has to be him again off the one start at left tackle.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him again if he has if he's got to be in there. He showed some nice things. It's always a challenge the second time when they have tape on you. So you gotta, if you're getting in there, you better keep practicing and detailing your work. Yeah, it's important.
Coach, on that front, do you remember kind of what for the match you guys liked that? So you brought him back when you had a chance to get him back. Remember what the conversations were and what kind of thinking was when you did end up losing him and why you didn't make that initial 53?
We took him originally just because we thought he'd be a good player. You got to juggle the numbers, which is always a challenge, and so he got poached there, taken, and when he got unpoached, we poached him. It was pretty simple. We got him back here as quickly as we could. Yeah.
You may have had a chance to watch the Chargers live on Monday night. What have you seen from them this year recently?
Yeah, good football team all the way around, offensively, defensively. They've been banged up a little bit up front, but they've worked through it. Tough quarterback, playing aggressive football, and they're well coached. Defensively, they're one of the top defense. I know I say this every week, but we've been playing some good defenses. They're one of the top defenses, and a few of those categories there, man, that are important. And so it's a nice challenge.
Coach, there's different formulas about how you guys can get into the playoffs. Do you look at any of that stuff?
Nah, no. Just I know you need to win games, what you have to do. So focus straight ahead, on that. I've been here before, and you bear down and you go. Try to keep all that stuff. Brett Beach, he can deal with all that. He likes all that.
This week from Patrick, like leadership-wise, this is unfamiliar for him as well to be in this spot.
He's great. I mean, he's coming to work, and he keeps his head up at all times, and understands he's in a leadership position. He's a good leader. So nothing you can do but try to get better. That's if you're hanging your head, you're not getting any better. And surely not making anybody, or including the whole team, you're not making them better. So,
Jesse? And just big picture, can you evaluate where you guys are offensively right now? Just where you guys are.
yeah, we've been up and down, so we need more consistency, and that's what we're striving to get here. Yeah, we've had some great days, great plays, but you have to do it for 4 quarters in this business. And so we've got to be more consistent.
Nate?
Randy, you guys signed Damian Pierce a couple months ago. Just what would you like to see this week of practice and the potential that maybe could be available for Sunday's game?
Yeah, so I think he's still getting acclimated to everything here. I like the kid. I can tell he's sharp and into it. And we don't have any injuries going on, so the guys that know the stuff are playing right now. And but I sure like the way he goes about his business. You see why he was a good player before.
Yeah, last year you guys did this twice with Typhon Thornton and Robert Tonyan. Both those guys obviously had the full offseason, made the team. Is there a similar path for Damian Pierce if the timing just isn't right for this
Sure,
particular
potentially.
season?
Yeah, no, he seems like he's all in on things, and I've heard nothing but good things about him. So, yeah. He's been welcomed here that way.
Good. Thanks, Coach.
All right, good.
Thank you.
That was Andy Reid earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. We'll take one final timeout, come back and wrap up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. 3:56, wrapping up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. Doubling back to the big national sports headline of the hour, Michigan firing head football coach Sharon Moore today for cause. And per a statement from the Michigan Athletic Department, the cause was an inappropriate relationship with an athletic department staff member. That'll get you fired 10 times out of 10. So never mind my thought that the boosters weren't happy, but they wanted to make sure they had somebody lined up to replace Moore before they dropped the axe. Nope. Something came up that they can't have. There was company ink and a pen was dipped in it, and that pen belonged to Sharon Moore. Allegedly. Actually, not even allegedly. They fired him for it. I guess we know that happened. So Michigan's going to be looking for a head football coach, and I bet there are some coaches right now who've taken jobs who are calling their agents right now saying, how dry is that ink on that contract I just signed? I bet Matt Campbell is on the phone with his agent right now asking, how dry is my ink on that contract at Penn State? Because Michigan's a better job than Penn State. Michigan's a top 10 job in America? If you can recruit past some of the more strict academics, it's a top 10 job. It's a national championship winning job. You can win a natty there. You can win a natty at Penn State. If you could, James Franklin would have done it. Anyway, that'll be one to monitor for sure. Coming up next hour, are bowl games dead? Plus Tim Fitzgerald next hour on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. I am Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be in for a little bit later on here this hour. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. 2 more hours of the show with you until 6 o'clock tonight. And plenty more good stuff to get to on the show today. Coming up at the bottom of this hour, Tim Fitzgerald will join us of GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. No shortage of stuff to talk about with Fitz. Last time we talked to him, Gene Taylor hadn't talked to Colin Klein. And apparently that is true. I mean, that is the timeline of events. That there were back channel discussions that were occurring, but per an interview and everything else publicly that Colin Klein has said, Klein and Gene Taylor didn't talk until about 7 o'clock last Wednesday. And in the course of that phone call, Gene Taylor offered Colin Klein the job. And Colin Klein said, yes, I will take the job. That's how that all came together. D. Scott Fritchen of KStateSports.com had a wide-ranging interview with Colin Klein that's worth checking out if you are a K-State fan. And so, yeah, last time we talked to Fitz, we didn't technically know who the new head coach was going to be. We hadn't had the introductory press conference or anything like that. So we'll get Fitz's perspective on Kansas State head football coach Colin Klein. That is coming up at the bottom of this hour. They got the billboards out and about. I saw one today. I was making a run, returning something to Kohl's today, making a return. Glad I was in the return line and not the checkout line, because I don't know if I would have made it back in time to start the show if I had been in the checkout line. It was a long checkout line today at Kohl's. People doing a lot of afternoon shopping, trying to get that Christmas shopping done whenever you can. I understand it. I respect it. But I had something to return, one of those Amazon returns, as you do. And I'm pulling out of Kohl's, and they got the electronic billboard there at that's 17th and Wanamaker, and threw up, welcome home, Colin Klein. They've been running that billboard, obviously, in Manhattan. They've run it in Kansas City. K-State putting the word out. They got a new head football coach, and he's one of the most popular personalities in Kansas State athletics history. So we'll get Fitz's thoughts on that as well, and everything else going on with Kansas State athletics. Maybe a bit about the signing class, maybe a little hoops going into their game against Creighton tomorrow. Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com joining us at the bottom of this hour. We've also got What Is Wrong With You coming up. And in case you missed the announcement earlier this week, we will crown our What Is Wrong With You champion of 2026 on the day after 2025, excuse me. Already looking ahead. But we will crown our champion on the 26th of December, the day after Christmas. We will do 3 shows the week of Christmas, and we will do all of our voting. We will get from 12 down to 2, down to a champion Monday, Tuesday, and Friday the week of Christmas. So we are taking, 580 Sports Talk is taking the rest of the year off after that. And we'll be back the following Friday, January 2nd, for our first show of 2026. But that is when we will crown a What Is Wrong With You champion. So we're going to have a little bit of a shorter month of December, but we'll have a December champion that we'll crown next Friday. And they'll go into the pool with all the rest of the What Is Wrong With You champs for the year. And we'll do the year and What Is Wrong With You. We'll put that out on our podcast page. We'll put that out on Spotify. We'll get it on our YouTube one way or another. And we'll get from our 12 monthly champions down to 1. Because like Highlander, there can be only 1 champion of What Is Wrong With You of 2025. So we got What Is Wrong With You coming up this hour as well. And I want to talk about the idea that the bowl game is an endangered species. And I think there's a little bit of truth to that, and I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. But I did want to talk about that since that seems to be the major talking point in the broader landscape of college football based on recent events. Although anybody in college football today is talking about is Sherrone Moore got fired at Michigan. And the Michigan Athletic Department immediately put out a statement saying, in no uncertain terms, we had to fire him because he was being inappropriate with a staff member. Now, whether that was just being a creep or whether that was something else, apparently there had been some allegations floating around on the internet, on places like Reddit or X or Threads or Blue Sky, social media. There had been some rumors floating around on social media that there was a relationship that Sherrone Moore was in that was inappropriate with a female staff member at Michigan, and that it was going to be really hard to keep secret because there was, and I'm going to sprinkle this with all the allegedly in the world, but the rumor was that there was a pregnancy involved. And that's kind of hard to cover up. Even if he had beaten Ohio State, I'm not sure how they could have covered that up. So, yeah, that was out there. And maybe they just want to get the season done. Or maybe they thought they could cover it up. I don't know. But yeah, Sherrone Moore fired as a head coach of Michigan after 2 years. And that opens up one of the best jobs in college football. And it will not be surprising if there's a coach who has recently taken a job, like within the last couple of weeks, who might rather have the Michigan job and maybe takes it. Maybe says, hey, you know what? I think I'd rather be in Ann Arbor. For what it's worth, Nicole Auerbach, who covers college football for The Athletic, floated the name Kalen DeBoer as the most logical choice for Michigan. He, of course, is the head coach at Alabama. The Alabama coach were to leave for another job. When was the last time that happened? Was it Dennis Franchione? Did he leave Alabama for Texas A&M, or is that the other way around? I got to look that up now. Dennis Franchione was the Alabama head coach. Yeah, he was the Alabama head coach for 2 years, and then he dipped. He dipped out, and he took the A&M job because Alabama was getting hammered by NCAA sanctions. It was not the same kind of Alabama job that the current Alabama job is. But yeah, he left Alabama for a different job. Dennis Franchione, I did not know this. He's a Southeast Kansas guy. He was born in Girard. Went to Pitt State. I didn't know any of that stuff. Wikipedia, wonderful resource. Anyhow, we'll talk more about that. We got some 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to later on. We got some stuff to discuss in there for sure. Want to hear from you on the show, on the program today, on the show. 785-272-9429 is the text line. 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Go subscribe to the channel today. Help us get closer to our stretch goal of 900 subscribers. We are 21 away as of the start of today's show. If you smash that subscribe button, not only does it not cost you anything, but it moves us closer to that goal so we can all sing for you on something we're going to call 580 Sports Talk Idol. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel and hop in the live chat while we are live from 3 to 6 Central every day here on 580 Sports Talk. Kansas State declined a bowl bid this year, and they were not the only school who qualified originally for a bowl with 6 wins or more to decline a bowl bid. Iowa State, who's in much the same scenario as Kansas State, where they had enough wins to go to a bowl, and then they underwent a coaching change and decided, if we're going to have a coaching change, we're going to have some upheaval to our roster and our coaching staff, we would not be sending a team to a bowl that would be representative of our football program, of what we want it to be. And so we don't see the sense in doing a bowl game. These kids already went in both cases. K-State and Iowa State, both declining a bowl, makes me wonder how much a factor we already took these kids to Ireland to play this year, and it's been a long season as a result. I wonder if that played into their decision specifically, because they're not the only schools losing their head coaches, right? There are a lot of schools out there losing head coaches. Some of them are still playing in bowl games. Washington State lost their head coach to Iowa State, and they're, I believe, still playing in a bowl game. But Kansas State and Iowa State both said no, and then Notre Dame said no. Notre Dame said no after they missed out on the college football playoff. They decided that they would not go to a bowl game. And that's the decision, because Notre Dame has, of course, the status that it does in college football. That's the decision that is making people concerned for the future of bowl games as we have known them. But the reality of it is, what bowl games are and what they mean has changed so dramatically over the last 20, 30 years of college football. bowl games used to be a reward for having a good season. You won as many of your games as you could, and you hoped for a bowl bid. If you didn't win your conference, you hoped that you might get to go to one of those second or third tier bowls. Then they became a reward for an okay season. Then they became a reward for doing the bare minimum, going 6-6. It's your C's get degrees now. You have 500. You can go to a bowl. 6-6, all you need. 6 wins, bowl eligibility. And if you won 6, you were going to a bowl because there's so damn many of these. Because, and I don't know how many people actually know this. I suspect many of you do. If you're the type to listen to sports radio regularly, you're probably hip to this. But in the event you're not, a lot of these bowl games are ESPN productions. They are owned and organized and put on with the help of ESPN. Because what in the world else is ESPN going to put on television during the holiday season that's going to make people want to watch? Bowl games are good business for them because no matter what the bowl game is, who's playing, where it is, what ridiculous sponsor it is, that's going to do better ratings than like SportsCenter reruns or darts or whatever else ESPN shows when they don't show games at night. Old 30 for 30s. Bowl games make good sense. They're good business for ESPN. So that's what a bowl game means now. Like, what do they mean? Not what they used to. Any old team can get into a bowl. And now, because there are so many, sometimes you're 5-7, but your kids get good grades, then they get rewarded with an extra game. Now, there is still a chance that is offered for every team who makes a bowl to end their season on a high note with a win, build some momentum for next year, get extra practice time for your young players. And for years, these were almost exclusively bowl games either indoors or in warm weather destinations. So it gave your fans a chance to travel, celebrate their team, watch them play one more time in sunny destinations like Orlando or Phoenix or Pasadena or Miami. Now, San Diego, another one, the Holiday Bowl, been around forever. San Antonio, the Alamo Bowl. And then over time, places like Shreveport, Louisiana, Birmingham, Alabama, Boston, Massachusetts, New York City. Those places started to become bowl destinations. So then you could go and watch your 6-6 team play another 6-6 team in the cold. You ever see the crowds for those games? Nobody going to the damn Pinstripe Bowl, man. Nobody wants to go to that bowl. There's the novelty of seeing a football game at Yankee Stadium, I suppose. But you want to sit out in the snow, watch the Pinstripe Bowl? I mean, if you're a diehard and that's your thing, that scratches your itch, good for you. Pass for me, personally. Judging by the attendance at those games, it's a pass for a lot of people. So even that appeal of a bowl has been diminished over time. And there were only ever but a handful of bowls that, quote unquote, mattered as it pertained to determining a national champion, when the national championship was more of a ephemeral argument than a real tangible thing you could go win in a game or a tournament. When the BCS took over, that game became the only one that actually mattered. That was the one you wanted to make because that was the one with stakes. You won it, you were number one. There was no other game that mattered as far as being a champion. Now in the 12-team playoff era, the big bowls have been wholly subsumed by the playoff. Ask yourself this: what right now is the most prestigious bowl game? What is it? Let me ask it a different way. What is the most prestigious bowl game outside of the playoff structure? Because playoff structure, you have the cotton, the peach, the rose, the sugar, the fiesta, the orange. What's the most prestigious bowl game outside of the bowl, of the playoff structure? Anybody? Anybody? Yeah, I didn't think so. You don't even know which ones matter anymore. They were going to send Notre Dame to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, man. It used to be Notre Dame went 10-2. They'd at least go to the Fiesta. Maybe the Gator Bowl. I don't even know if they call it the Gator Bowl anymore. They were going to send Notre Dame to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So K-State, Iowa State, other teams that have declined bowl bids in the midst of coaching changes, I don't have a problem with that. I understand that people do have a problem with that or are disappointed in that decision, but I don't have a problem with that at the end of the day. You don't know what your coaching staff is going to look like. You don't know what your roster is going to look like. You don't want to put some of your freshmen on game film where somebody might see and lure them into the portal. So the benefits that exist for teams that play in a bowl are not as beneficial for teams in the scenario that K-State and Iowa State are in. Notre Dame is a different deal. Notre Dame's decision is a different deal because Notre Dame football is a different deal. They play at Notre Dame to win national championships. And they were denied a chance to play for a national championship by a bunch of guys in suits. Now, like I said, you solve that problem by winning all your games. If you win all your games, they're not going to keep you out of the playoff. Except for the one time Florida State won all their games and they did keep them out of the playoff. We can ignore that. They won't do that in a 12-team playoff field, right? That's the thought. Win all your games and you don't have a problem. But Notre Dame went 10-2, played as tough a schedule as they could muster, lost a couple of really close games to good teams, playoff teams, and they got left out. They got left out of the tournament because a bunch of people in suits decided they weren't good enough to be in the tournament. So for Notre Dame, your season is about winning a national championship. Go play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against a 7-win Big 12 team? For who? For what? I don't blame Notre Dame at all. You're playing for one thing at that school. Georgia shouldn't accept if Georgia were 11-1 or 10-2 and they didn't get in the playoff, I wouldn't blame them if they said, look, man, we're going to have a bunch of seniors opt out of this mid-tier bowl game and don't really want to play in it. So what's the use? It's a waste of our time. Give somebody else a chance. I don't blame Notre Dame. There aren't but a handful of programs that can act like Notre Dame has acted, but that's privilege. Sometimes you have the privilege to decline a bowl bid when you go 10-2. Notre Dame is one of very few schools that has that privilege. There are other prominent programs this year that are playing in mid-tier bowls, like Texas and Clemson and Penn State. Those were all top 5 teams in the preseason. And Penn State went 6-6. Clemson, I think, went 6-6. Texas missed the playoff. But for those schools, they're giving themselves a chance to erase the taste of disappointing seasons with their bowl performance. And they have nobody to blame for not getting a chance to play in the playoff but themselves. It was not suits who said, yeah, 8-4 Texas, sorry, we got to leave you out. No, man, they had nobody to blame but themselves. So it's a different scenario than the Notre Dame scenario. But the Notre Dame scenario has led a lot of people to suggest that we are going to see the bowl system, the bowl season end. And we're going to see the bowl game go the way of the dodo. And maybe that's true to an extent, because I do think it is inevitable over the long haul that the college football playoff will be less of a closed system. I mean, we already went from 4 to 12. We'll probably get to 16. And eventually we're going to have a playoff that looks a lot more like what the FCS and Division II and Division III have figured out how to run for a lot of years. But, Division II and Division III still have bowl games. Yeah, Division III has bowl games. My alma mater's most hated rival, Wabash, won their bowl game this year. They played a bowl game and they won. I forget who they beat. Wharton and Muhlenberg, somebody like that. I don't remember. But they won that game. I got a cool suggestion for Wabash. They can put that bowl trophy where they used to keep the Monon Bell. She don't win that anymore. Bunch of losers. Take a bowl bid after you lose the bell. A bunch of chumps. Anyway, there's still bowl games in those lower levels. There just aren't as many of them because there aren't as many teams that are eligible for them. But I do think the bowl system has a chance to live on as a place where an 8-4 MAC team can play a 7-5 Sun Belt team on ESPN in the dead month of December for the sake of program growth and exposure. So I do think the bowl system is going to survive. I just think it's going to look radically different. And I think that when we do get ultimately to 24, 28 teams that make a bowl, that make this playoff, when we finally are done expanding it, the Power 4 teams that miss out on those bowls will be more likely moving forward to decline those bids. Because one, it's not what they really want. They want the playoff. And for two, again, you have so much roster upheaval, you have so much coaching staff upheaval, and you have less desire to put your best prospects on film for another school to swoop in and say, hey, you're going to play a lot more here next year, and we pay you a lot more too. So is bowl season going to die? No, I don't think so. But is bowl season going to look a lot different? Are we going to have to say goodbye to things like the 68 Ventures Bowl or the Game Above Sports Bowl or the Gronk Bowl? Yeah, probably. But will you really miss them? Will you really? We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You. Tim Fitzgerald joins us after that here on 580 Sports Talk. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? Two new stories competing today and bringing us a story today. Spencer Dupuis. Hi, Spencer.
Hello.
We got two new stories today trying to take down our current weekly champion, the meth deposit, an Ohio man who left a baggie of meth in the pneumatic tube when he sent it back to the teller, making a drive-through bank transaction. That was, of course, probable cause to search his apartment, and they found there was a lot more where that came from. Meth deposit, our current weekly champ. We got two new stories. Spencer, what you got?
We're going to go to, I believe, Florida. Yeah. After crashing a stolen BMW yesterday, a Florida man denied swiping the wheels, explaining to the cops that he was actually teleported into the vehicle, according to the arrest affidavit. Investigators allege that Calvin Johnson, 36, no, not the former NFL wide receiver.
Not Megatron.
No. Took the 2018 convertible while the car's owner was walking his dog at a dog park. Johnson says, cops say, rummaged through the unlocked BMW and found the keys in the cup holder. So I don't know if the what is wrong with you is on the man or on the owner of the vehicle. In short order, Johnson, driving over 100 miles an hour, crashed the car in a single vehicle accident. Passing motorists extracted him from the totaled auto. When cops arrived at the scene, he told of his perpetuated teleportation, made a passing reference to X-Men, and told officers, "You saved me from aliens." You can see a picture of him in this article here. Johnson was transported to a local hospital where he was placed under guard. He will be transferred to county jail upon release from Halifax Hospital Medical Center. Johnson has been charged with grand theft auto, a felony, driving on a license that was suspended in 2019. His bail has been set at $2,650. He has an extensive criminal record, which includes convictions this year for trespass, obstruction, loitering, resisting, and grand theft auto, for stealing a $1,500 bicycle. When he asked why he stole that bike in a previous case, he just felt like it.
So first of all, man, leaving a car unlocked and leaving your keys in the cup holder is a wild move. I don't know why people do that. I really don't.
Some people do it in the garage and close their garage, but other people do it in broad daylight in a park.
Yeah, like don't think you're gonna like get away with that. Keep the key, like leave it unlocked, whatever. Like sometimes you forget to hit that lock button, but man, keep the keys on you. You're asking for it. You might as well put a sign in the window that says "Steal me."
Yeah.
But no, to be, hey man, I got nothing to do with this. I just got plopped here by some aliens. Just and they also made me go 100 mile an hour and wreck it too. That's hilarious. All right, my story today, we go Spanaway, Washington. A man who tried to break into a home in the area found trouble when he got stuck in a fence. This was 6:30 p.m. December 5th. The homeowner said a stranger was actively banging on the front door trying to get in. They told deputies they were so scared that they used couches to barricade the front door. The homeowners told deputies the would-be burglar went to the back of the house and tried to break a window. When that didn't work, the suspect broke through a fence and tried to crawl under it, but ended up getting stuck by his foot. Responding deputies had to use bolt cutters to free the suspect. Once the 20-year-old was unstuck, he was promptly arrested and booked for residential burglary. Deputies said it appears he was under the influence of some substance, though it's unclear if it was drugs or alcohol. That got to be humiliating. You are stuck under a fence and police show up and they can't like just pull you out. They got to get the bolt, fetch the bolt cutters to get you free. He had this grand plan. You're going to bust into this house and you failed to get in the front door. You failed to break a window and you fail. That's a hat trick. That's a hat trick of burglary failure for this 20-year-old. Rookie moves, all of them. Your story wins today. Your story is very funny. I'm still leaning the meth deposit, though, just because of the absent-mindedness. You can't. How did he come to leave a baggie of meth in the tube? How do you do that?
Yeah, it takes a lot to take it out of your car and put it in the tube.
Like, I don't know, was it like stuck to his credit card or something? Like, I just have no idea how it would come to be that you would be so sloppy to like, hey, I'm going to send you my routing number and my debit card, and here's my ID, and also some meth, just so you know what I'm up to, just so you know how it goes down around me. Meth deposit continues as our winner here on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, we'll talk to Tim Fitzgerald at GoPowerCat.com. Wildcat Wrap-Up, presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, is next on the program. are joined on the Flaming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up on 580 Sports Talk, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Fitz joins us every Wednesday at this time on the program. And Fitz, last time we talked, Gene Taylor didn't even have Colin Klein's phone number, but they made that connection, and now Colin Klein is the next head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats. What was your reaction to what you have heard from Colin Klein publicly, both at the introductory press conference and at halftime of the home basketball game on Saturday? What have you how have you reacted to what you are hearing so far from the next head coach of the Cats?
I mean, he's saying all the right stuff. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he is who he is. He's not going to get up there and pound his chest and scream. He's a pretty low-key guy, but he gets this look in his eyes that he means business. He's a real quiet competitor, but let's be really honest, too, that he could probably, fart the battle hymn of the Republic into a microphone and people would just go crazy.
Well, Chris Kleiman had to win his opening press conference, and I think he did.
Right.
I think when he came out and he started talking about pound the stone and win the dang day, I think that was something that a fan base that might have been a little reluctant to accept Gene Taylor hiring his buddy from Fargo, that really got people behind Kleiman there originally. He had to go win the press conference. Colin Klein didn't necessarily have to win the press conference, but what, if anything, do you feel like he said that Kansas State fans enjoyed hearing the most?
Oh, I just think having the presence of stability, after the last couple of years with Coach Kleiman, we could tell something was going on with him that was a little bit off, and him stepping away for, probably health reasons. I just think fans wanted to hear that the program was in good hands. There was a plan, and they're moving forward. And as they unveil some of the hirings of the coaching staff, I think people will get more and more excited. I have a good indication he's going to put together a really young, energetic coaching staff that is filled with good recruiters. And I'll be very interested to see who his coordinators are. Is he going to call plays? So there's a lot of information still to come out. But I think just the presence of a guy as important as Colin Klein has been to K-State football was really comforting to K-State fans.
Tim Fitzgerald is our guest of GoPowerCat.com. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors here on 580 Sports Talk. To your point about the staff, do you anticipate, based on the rumblings that you might be hearing, that this is going to be a staff that has previous Kansas State ties, or is this going to be a staff with some more wide-ranging prior experiences that Colin Klein wants to bring to Manhattan?
Both. I mean, I think there'll be, some guys with Kansas State ties. We expect Stanton Weber to come in to run sports special teams, which he's been in the MAC doing that, and I think that's a great hire. We kind of think Zach Hansen might be coming in from USC. He's one of the offensive line coaches out there, a former K-State offensive lineman. We don't know what his title would be. There's some speculation. If Colin's going to call the plays, Zach might be the offensive coordinator. He is a rising star in the business and has been a big part of what they're doing at USC. There might be, some other guys coming from USC. So I think it just depends on what the contact point is. You're going to have some guys associated with Kansas State, some associated with Colin, and some probably associated with the coordinators they're bringing in, because they'll want to have some of their guys. So I think it's going to be a really good mix, a dynamic mix. And we know this. We expect an announcement that a former K-State walk-on quarterback during Klein's era, and Trey Scott, will be named the general manager of his program. And Trey's been a long-time scout for the Raiders and moved into agency representing coaches a couple years ago. So that's a really experienced guy in both scouting and negotiating. That is exactly what the GM does.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question there regarding a general manager of the football program. Who did they have on Kleiman's staff, if anybody, who functioned in that capacity? And the second part of my question on that is, what will be the most important responsibility of a general manager for Kansas State football?
Well, Clint Brown did that. He had a different title for a while, but they changed it to general manager this year. He was functioning the whole time as general manager, just not with the title. And he's a former defensive coordinator, defensive coach. But he gained the trust of Chris Kleiman, and he was just Kleiman leaned on him so much because he was so solid, reliable, taking care of stuff. And that's really what the GM does. Is they help clear the plate of the head coach so the coach can do head coach things, which isn't negotiating NIL and getting into the weeds and all that, but doing all the pre-scouting and all the preparation when recruits are going to meet the coach, and just really kind of be the buffer between the head coach and everything else outside of actually coaching the team. And I think that's been a role that's been needed even before NIL and all this other stuff, but it's now a role that is kind of codified across college football. And, for most of Bill Snyder's second tenure, Sean Snyder kind of functioned as that, with, a different title completely, but he certainly took a lot of stuff off his father's plate and, just kind of cut down on the noise in his ears.
Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline right now is Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors here on 580 Sports Talk. What do we expect Colin Klein's offense to look like? Is it going to look, you think, conceptually pretty similar to what it looked like when he was the offensive coordinator? Or do you think now that he's in the big chair, it might start to look even more one way or another, or lean more heavily in one direction or another than it did when he was working under Chris Kleiman?
It's a great question, one I've wondered myself. I honestly, buddy, don't know the answer to that. I'll be blunt here. I haven't tracked what exactly he's done schematically at Texas A&M, how it varies, and what he might, put in place here in Manhattan. But I think it'll be pretty close to what he's done in the past. It's not like Chris Kleiman was narrowing his focus and telling him to do a bunch of stuff on the offensive side. He let his offensive coordinators kind of pick the feel of the team. And with Colin, that was kind of a traditional K-State offense. Maybe a little bit different, but I think we'll see him get back to this. And I know this, they're going to be more physical than this K-State team was. They're going to get back to being a physical form of football team, because that was really a detriment to this K-State team.
The transfer portal entries are ongoing across the country. There have been a couple of big names in the Big 12, none bigger than Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, who've dipped their toes into the portal. K-State's had a couple of kids hop into the portal. Do you think at this point the departures from Kansas State are players who are maybe being told or having it indicated, hey, we're going to kind of move in a different direction and there might just not be playing time for you? Or has K-State experienced some defections, or at least some transfer portal entries to this point that they kind of are grimacing and saying, boy, we really would like to have kept that player?
Well, keep in mind, they're not officially in the portal. That can't happen until January 2nd. But they're announcing, kind of putting their brand out there, so to speak. A guy like Quay Moss might be someone they really want to hang on to, who's announced he's going into the portal. And you know what? If you're Quay Moss, it's not a bad idea just to do this, because you're technically not in the portal. You're technically still at Kansas State. And if they want you, you just don't ever put your name officially into the portal. So I haven't seen anyone that I think breaks the back. I suspect Avery is going to stick around because of his relationship with Colin. And also, we've noticed that of the possible receiver candidates that we're tracking, all of a sudden Jace Brown has ended up following one of them on X. So that's a little trick. People do that immediately. When they're going to have a relationship with someone, they go ahead and follow them. I do that with every new talent that comes into the market in Topeka. So it's pretty common to do that. I mean, if there's a new television person, which happens every 2 years, they get a follow from me, and I try to build a relationship with them just because they're my colleagues. But players follow coaches, coaches follow players, and it's a kind of fun thing to track. So our Cole Carmody is all over all of this with our assistant coaching board, our hot board, and he's on version 3.0, but he's zeroing in pretty good on who Colin Klein's talking to.
And you can, of course, read all of that if you're a VIP subscriber to 24/7 Sports and GoPowerCat.com. Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com is our guest here on the Wildcat Wrap-Up. Have noticed a blitz of marketing around Colin Klein's hiring, billboards in Kansas City, billboard here in Topeka. I saw it this afternoon out on Wanamaker when I was running around making a return at Kohl's. So I know that they want to really promote that Colin Klein is coming home. I've also seen the emails that are offering fans an opportunity to be a part of the success of Kansas State. You got to tread a fine line here because as an athletic department, you don't want to come out and flat out say, hey, we could really use your money because players cost money. But you want to get people excited enough to think, yes, I would like to share in the success of the Colin Klein era at Kansas State. To your viewpoint, is this a line that they can walk? Is this the kind of thing that they can do that is going to generate the sort of not just big donor support, but small donor support that Kansas State athletics could use and that the football program could use?
Well, the next step in college athletics that nobody's really talking about is in this kind of grotesque need to get more and more money to pay more and more players and turn this into professional athletics. Nobody stops to wonder, can the fans support this? I mean, is there an end to this? Because I think we're nearing a point where a lot of fans are going to say, you know what, tickets, parking, gas, concessions, seat licenses, I can't do it. I can't do it, particularly if I'm not bought in on the product. And we're nearing that very quickly, I think. I think we're going to see a lot of college football programs in the next few years suffer with ticket sales. They're going too high. They just are. And I think they're overshooting their markets. But when you hire someone like Colin Klein, he energizes everyone and certainly makes it feel much more tangible to go ahead and make that purchase price. It hurts a lot less when you know you're going to go watch a Colin Klein team if you're a K-Stater. So I think it's important that the athletics department do exactly what they're doing. Get his name and face out there because it is famous from coast to coast in college football, and I think it's a good sales pitch.
Last question for you, Fitz, regarding Colin Klein. I know you've been covering Kansas State athletics for a long time. I know you were covering Kansas State athletics in Colin Klein's playing career. Did you sense even back then that he had the goods to be a head coach? Because some players you can tell, like they've got the leadership ability and the square jaw and the smarts to lead a room and have that inclination to go into coaching. Did you always sense that with Colin Klein, that he was going to be the kind of player who not only transitioned into coaching, but had a chance to do it at a high level?
Yeah, I think it's probably during his junior year. You started to realize this guy's kind of got it all together. And, he follows in that kind of narrow little space of an All-American type player, Heisman finalist, who really didn't have a shot at the NFL. Just because he was such an unconventional quarterback. He didn't fit the needs of the league. His throwing motion was appalling, and no way the NFL would stand for that. And so, he falls into that, okay, well, I'll go into coaching. And, in reality, if you look around the coaching profession, there are a lot of former walk-ons, or little used players that always had to focus so much on fundamentals and doing everything right. And the whole process had to be down pat for them to succeed. It now just turns into coaching because they understand how you get better. And Colin wasn't necessarily that in many ways, but in other ways he was. He was a converted quarterback. He was a receiver or a tight end when he came in and became a quarterback, had a lot to learn, had to pay attention to everything. And speaking of throwing motion, he had to figure out how to make it work. So I think he does kind of fit the mold of who goes into college football coaching.
Tim Fitzgerald and the staff at GoPowerCat.com have been doing an outstanding job covering this big change in leadership at the Kansas State football program. If you're a VIP subscriber to 24/7 Sports, you're getting all of the information, all of the VIP info, all the insider info that they have. Fitz joins us every Wednesday here for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, brother.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. The Wildcat Wrap-Up, once again, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. We'll take a time out, come back, and wrap up the 4 o'clock hour after this. Our thanks again to Tim Fitzgerald for joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. An interesting point he made in that last part of the discussion just drives at what I think is a really interesting question that if I would have had more time, I might have asked, but I think he answered it in the flow of his answer to my last question anyway, which is what is going to be Colin Klein's greatest strength as a head coach? And Colin Klein was under-recruited, changed position, and made it work because he did all the fundamental things and he was tough as nails. And those are the kinds of players that become great coaches more often than the guys who were 5-star recruits, the guys for whom it came naturally. I mean, look at pro sports for this. Look at how many great players were lousy coaches when they tried it. Best example I can think of for this, Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky's the greatest hockey player to ever live and was a terrible coach because he did not and could not understand why everybody else couldn't do what he did or see what he saw. That's no way to be a coach, no way to be a leader. The most gifted people sometimes have trouble with, well, why can't you do what I did? It wasn't hard for me. It was hard for Colin Klein, but he made it work because he was tough and smart and did the little things. And if he coaches like that, he's going to do great. Headlines, Patrick Mahomes, and Ask Me Anything. Coming up, final hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk. On this hump day, Dan Lucero hanging out with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. Like and subscribe, folks. Smash those like and subscribe buttons. Doesn't cost you a thing. You get our video content coming your way. Especially subscribe to that YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Not only do we stream the show live on video every day, we've also got our instant reaction videos from every Chiefs game, plus select KU and K-State games. It's good stuff, we think. And if you're a fan of the show, you'll surely enjoy the instant reactions. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. We got one more hour to hang out today. Going to hear from Patrick Mahomes. QB1 spoke at 1 Arrowhead Drive earlier today. We'll hear what Mahomes had to say. Also, we haven't done it in a few weeks, so I thought I'd dust it off today. If you've got something you want to ask me, ask me. We'll do an AMA later in the show. It's what it's known as on like Reddit, the AMA. Ask me anything. I will take your questions. I will take sports questions. I will take non-sports questions. I will take personal questions. Whatever you got. Send them in on the text line, 785-272-9429. Or type them in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, or in the comments on Facebook, too. We have people who watch us on Facebook. I see the view count on those. We got people watching us over there on Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, you want to ask a question, I'll take it. Leave it in the comments. WIBW News. So we'll do AMA a little bit later on this hour. We got 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to as well. We're off at 6, and then that's it for sports content. If you were listening earlier today on 11 a.m. tip-off at Bramlage Coliseum for the K-State women, that didn't go so great. Midi-Cats lost to San Diego State 64-53. Boy, what a roller coaster it's been for the Midi-Cats. 6-5 in non-conference play. Beat the 13th ranked team in the country in St. Joe on Sunday, and then turned around and lost to San Diego State today. They've got some head-scratcher losses and some quality wins early on in this non-conference season. It's a brand-new team, not a lot returning from last year's Sweet 16 squad, so not strange that it has taken a little bit to maybe find an identity, find a rotation. They're young. They got some really young players playing roles this year, but an uneven, rocky start for K-State women's basketball. They lost earlier today to San Diego State at home. So we're done at 6, and then we're back tomorrow, and we'll do this all again from 3 until 6 before Thursday Night Football starts Week 15 of the NFL. Let's get to those headlines, shall we? Let's start with Week 15 of the NFL. Let's start with the participation report for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm efforting the Chargers list. They may not have put theirs out yet. In fact, doesn't look like they have. But the Chiefs have their first participation report of the week. Includes 3 players who did not practice. Wanya Morris out with a knee injury. Of course, it is anticipated that Wanya will miss the rest of the season with that injury he suffered on the first offensive play for the Chiefs against the Texans on Sunday night, but he's not officially been placed on injured reserve. Juwan Taylor, also a DNP, dealing with triceps and knee injuries. He did not practice today. Hollywood Brown did not practice, dealing with something personal. So he was an NIR, non-injury related, personal absence from practice today. Only player limited for the Chiefs was Trent McDuffie. Hyperextended that knee in the first half against the Texans, didn't return to the game. There's an interesting discussion coming about Trent McDuffie. I think he's lost some money this season. I would have pounded the table for $30 million a year for Trent McDuffie going into this season, and I feel less good about that now. So that's one I think you save for the end of the season, because look, it's 4 weeks left. A lot can happen, even if it is just 4 weeks. Even if the Chiefs go 2-2 and miss the playoffs and have a losing record. Even if they go 4-0, but still miss the playoffs. Even if they hit that 11% chance and make the AFC postseason. There will be time enough this offseason to talk about where the Chiefs should go moving forward. But one guy whose future with the Chiefs feels less certain than it did before week 1 is Trent McDuffie. And that's not to say that he's been bad this year, but I do think that McDuffie, I think it has been proven this season that McDuffie's best position is the slot. And if he's just a slot corner, he's not making $30 million a year. You don't pay an elite slot corner $30 million a year. So if the Chiefs are willing to pay top market for a slot corner, I still think they should do it because McDuffie's really good, and I think he has a chance to be a leader long-term for the Chiefs. But if Trent McDuffie thinks he's an outside lockdown cornerback on the same tier as Sauce Gardner, he's going to want that $31 million a year. So, and he can play next year. Chiefs don't have to do anything. He's on his fifth-year option next year. So the Chiefs technically don't have to do anything. But I think in the offseason, we were thinking, oh, yeah, McDuffie extension will get done. If it doesn't get done now, they'll get it done next year. It still might. A lot can happen between now and the start of the new league year, but I'm less convinced it's going to happen than I was before week 1. Anyway, McDuffie was limited in practice today, but a good sign that he practiced at all, frankly, because, typically if it's an injury reason and you don't practice Wednesday, generally speaking, pretty good indication you're not playing Sunday. So McDuffie being limited means at least there's a chance. Full participation for Brian Cook, Noah Gray, Patrick Mahomes, Nico Remigio, Rashee Rice, Trey Smith, and Juju Smith-Schuster. That is the Chiefs participation report. Should get the Chargers one this hour. They're on, obviously, a different time zone, so they have more time to submit their practice report. Gets to you a little later in the day. Something fun about the Chargers account on X is that they tweet in all lowercase. Is E.E. Cummings their social media director? Come on, guys. It's okay to use capital letters. It's okay to use proper punctuation. Anyhow, if we do see that at some point, we will pass along the Chargers participation report from today. Other NFL news to get to on our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Jaden Daniels' star-crossed season continues. He will miss the Sunday game for the Commanders against the New York Giants. Dan Quinn has ruled him out. He did play in the 31-0 loss to the Vikings on Sunday. Left the game after landing hard on the same left elbow he had dislocated in Week 9. Dan Quinn said he could have returned to the game, but with the score 17-0 in the third quarter, he stuck with Marcus Mariota. And now Daniels is being ruled out for Sunday against the Giants already. And in other quarterback news, the Indianapolis Colts might start 44-year-old Phillip Rivers at quarterback on Sunday. Rivers is in camp with the Colts. He's been signed to the practice squad. Riley Leonard was a full participant in practice today. He's dealing with a right knee injury. But even with Leonard's improving health, the Colts are seriously considering playing Rivers on Sunday if he shows himself worthy in this week's practices. Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, saying, quote, "We'll see how the week goes. We'll get to the end of the week and make that decision. It also depends on how Rivers feels too." Phillip Rivers hasn't played an NFL game since 2020. We went through all of this yesterday when the Colts made it official that they'd signed Phillip Rivers. And I know the guys, Brendan and Spencer, talked about it on headlines yesterday. And I made the joke on yesterday's show that the Colts still have to play the Texans. 44-year-old Phillip Rivers doesn't want that smoke, man. He doesn't want those problems. But I forgot. You know who the Colts play this week, guys? The Seattle Seahawks. And if Houston has the best defense in the league, and I think right now they might, Seattle's right there. And their defensive front, they may not have a player as good as Will Anderson coming off the edge, but their defensive front is terrifying. Leonard Big Cat Williams, Byron Murphy, both playing at a Pro Bowl level in the middle. Chenna Nwosu, Boye Mafe, DeMarcus Lawrence, all playing really well. Mike McDonald loves to blitz. They've got good defensive backs as blitzers like Devin Witherspoon, Nicky Manwari. That doesn't sound like ideal conditions for a 44-year-old grandfather to be dealing with in his first NFL game since you couldn't go to NFL games because of COVID. What is this man doing? Like, why, Phillip Rivers? Clearly, you have a hobby. Growing your family is your hobby. You get 10 kids. Clearly, there's a passion for something in your life. I just don't understand what the motivation is other than selfish motivation to maybe reset his Hall of Fame eligibility clock. Like, I don't know. He's a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame this year, right now. And if he plays another game this year, it resets his eligibility clock. It sets it back 5 more years. I've never been more baffled by an unretirement in my life. And yes, I know the sport of boxing exists, but I still never been more baffled by someone's decision to unretire and get back into the game than this with Phillip Rivers. It makes no sense. And honest to God, I think he's in danger. It's an exaggeration to say he is in mortal danger, but he is in real physical danger against the Seattle Seahawks defense on Sunday if he has to play. Text from the 913 points out, those kids do need to be fed. This is true. This is true. You do need to feed. It's a lot of mouths to feed. Although if one of them's old enough to have a kid of their own, you assume that that child is old enough to feed themselves and their own child by this point. But yeah, man, the money can't be that good. It's only 4 weeks. Like somebody called Phillip Rivers and say, hey, here's $10 million to play quarterback. Like, all right, man, there are a lot of things I'd do for $10 million. But presumably he's going to come and make the vet men and face the Seahawks defense. Like, there's no way he's in shape. There's no way he's in physical shape to take the kind of pounding that a quarterback takes even behind an A+ offensive line against an F- defensive line. Like, you get hit. You get hit. The jersey doesn't stay clean. So I don't know, man. Like, say a prayer for Phillip Rivers. Honest to goodness. Because I think he is making a bad decision. Mark H. points out in the YouTube comments that you must not have seen Brett Favre unretire a bunch of times. Oh, I saw that, Mark. Favre could still play. That was the thing. He did the whole, I'm retired. Actually, you know what? I'm not really retired. And he would do that over the course of like 2 weeks. He would make up his mind. Actually, I want to keep playing. And he was good right up until he wasn't. That last year in Minnesota, when he got that concussion because they were playing outdoors at the Golden Gopher Stadium while they were building US Bank Stadium, and he took that terrible hit and got concussed, and that was it. That was lights out. Right up until that point, until that season, Brett Favre could still play. Phillip Rivers was bad in 2020. And that was 2020. It was 5 years ago. It is not apples to apples there. I can't understand at all why he's making that decision. Next headline, we talked about it as it was breaking at the middle of the 3 o'clock hour earlier today. University of Michigan has fired head football coach Sharon Moore for cause after a university investigation found credible evidence he was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Now, unfortunately, the internet rumor mill is churning, and there are things out there that haven't been verified, and there's a woman out there who is being identified, whether wrongly or wrongly, we have no idea, as the staffer with whom Sharon Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship. We don't know if any of that stuff's true yet. Pump your brakes. Lies get Lies get halfway around the world before truth has a chance to get the pants on. But that might not be a great analogy to use in this particular case, talking about pants not being on. But anyhow, the firing of Sharon Moore broke, and then about 5 minutes later came the statement from the University of Michigan that said, oh, yeah, this is for cause, and this is the cause. He was acting out of pocket with a staff member. So clearly, Michigan wanted to get out in front of it before the truth got out of bed and put its pants on. So obviously a bad deal. Obviously not an opportune time to fire your coach when the big seats on the coaching carousel have all been filled. Right? Like there's no obvious candidate without a job or candidate who has not already just taken a new job for Michigan. The flip side is that Michigan is a very desirable job. And that might be a job that somebody would look at their brand new contract and say, hey, can we rip that thing up? I'd rather be in Ann Arbor. I'd rather try to win a national championship in Ann Arbor. There's a non-zero chance that happens. And I joked earlier about it being Matt Campbell. Like I could see that. But like, what about Jason Candle at Toledo, who just took the UConn job? You think he wouldn't rather be in Ann Arbor if Michigan was like, yeah, this guy, he's a Midwesterner. He's had a lot of success in the MAC. This is the guy we want. I think he wouldn't be easy to buy out of a contract at UConn. So carousel is not done spinning, and Michigan needs a new head football coach. And they need one pretty quick because their multi-million-dollar quarterback, Bryce Underwood, is going to have to be re-recruited. And for what it's worth, I think Underwood's still pretty good. He didn't light the world on fire as a true freshman. Like it wasn't, there were other freshman quarterbacks in America who were better than he was that were making less NIL money. But I still think Underwood has the goods. Like I watched a handful of Michigan games this year. I think he's got some talent. I think his sophomore and junior seasons can be really good under the right coach and the right system. I think Michigan's problem the last couple of years is they run a Stone Age offense. But also, when they've won conference titles and won national titles in recent vintage, they've done it with a Stone Age offense. So maybe that's just what they need to embrace. Like, we're just going to play man ball, manly man ball. We're going to run the I formation. We're going to recruit fullbacks. Like, maybe that's what Michigan needs to embrace in the long haul. I don't make it a bad idea to try and pry like Lincoln Riley out of USC. I've also seen Brian Kelly suggested. That's not happening. I think everybody's tired of Brian Kelly's stuff by now. So that is the big college sports news. As far as teams that are still playing, how about this story? Really unfortunate. Indiana's star defensive lineman, Stephen Daly, will miss the college football playoff because he got hurt shaking hands with fans after the Big Ten championship game. He suffered some kind of freak leg injury as he was doing a lap around the field celebrating with Indiana fans after the Hoosiers beat Ohio State to win the Big Ten championship. And it's a severe enough injury that he will not play in the college football playoff. It is a big loss for Indiana. Daly was one of the best defensive linemen in the country. He's probably going to be at some level an All-American this year. He was second in the country in tackles for a loss. And the number one seed in the college football playoff will not have his services because he got hurt celebrating. And not like in the dumb Bill Grammatica hurt himself celebrating kind of way either. In a very innocent, like I was just going around the stadium high-fiving people and just took a bad step or maybe ran into something that he didn't see. But big blow to the undefeated Hoosiers before the start of the college football playoff. Lastly, let's get to some baseball headlines. It happened yesterday evening, the Major League Baseball draft lottery. The Chicago White Sox ended up with the number one overall pick. They had the best odds for landing the pick because, number one, they had the second worst record in baseball last year. And I know you're saying, well, doesn't the team with the worst record usually have the best lottery odds? Well, that's how it works in other sports. But in baseball, you can't be in the lottery more than 3 years in a row. If you're in the lottery 3 straight years, and this is the rule when they instituted the draft lottery, so this is not brand new, every team knows this. If you stink so bad that you're in the lottery for 3 straight years, the best you can pick is 10th. And that is why the Colorado Rockies are picking 10th next year, because they've sucked on ice for 3 straight years, and they could not pick number 1 after they lost to 119 games. Love it. Just love that for me. Although I will say this. I will say something positive. The Rockies this offseason are acting suspiciously like a normal Major League Baseball team as far as like who they're hiring and what organizations they're hiring from and how they've rebuilt their pitching department, at least. So I am hesitant to give them too much credit, but they feel it almost like I don't want to look at it. I don't want to scare it, but they've been acting kind of normal, which I have enjoyed. Anyhow, the White Sox won the draft lottery. The reason I bring up the draft lottery is because the Kansas City Royals jumped up 10 spots from where they were likely to draft and ended up with the number 6 overall pick. They were slated for the 13th pick, and they jumped up to number 6. So the Royals will have a top 6 pick in the upcoming draft to try and supplement their current core of young talent. I would love to talk about the Royals Big League Club adding to their current group of talent, but they have not done that yet. The Royals have been silent at the winter meetings, but the Baltimore Orioles were not silent today. They make the big splash move of the day, signing former New York Mets first baseman Pete Alonso to a 5-year, $155 million contract. Alonso had spent his entire Major League career with the Mets playing first base. He's won a couple of home run derbies and been one of the best power hitters in baseball over the course of his career. Alonso broke in. I'm trying to find his baseball reference page. Broke in 2019, and over the last 7 seasons has hit 264 home runs, including a major league leading 53 in his rookie season of 2019. He has driven in 712 runs, carries a lifetime .516 slugging percentage and .857 OPS, a 5-time All-Star and the 2019 Rookie of the Year. Also one of the most beloved members of the New York Mets. And now he's not a Met anymore. And on the one hand, I understand looking at Pete Alonso and saying, okay, he's just past his age 30 season. He's not likely to age well because he doesn't have a lot of old player skills. He doesn't draw a lot of walks and he's really slow. It could decline in a hurry for Pete Alonso. There are players who are similar, profiles similarly to him, who have had pretty steep and severe declines in their 30s. And so years 4 and 5 of that contract, 5 years, $55 million. That's 31 a year for Pete Alonso. You're paying 34 and 35-year-old and 36-year-old Pete Alonso $31 million. That might not be the smartest thing to do for the Baltimore Orioles. But it makes a lot of sense for the 2026 Orioles or any team who had signed him in 2026 because he figures to still be pretty prolific masher of taters this coming season. And by the way, that includes the Mets. And this is the thing about the Mets. They've got the money. This is not a scenario where, we can't bear to say goodbye, but there's just no way we can match 5 years, $155 million. They are on the same financial playing field as the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, by the way, just signed their beloved closer, Edwin Diaz, to a free agent contract a couple of days ago. The Mets and Steve Cohen, their owner, cheaping out might make good baseball sense. It might be smart not to give those years and that money to that player. But you're winning right now. You're in a window of contention right now, and your fans like rooting for their guys. This is not just a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet business. Baseball, sports, it's a people business. And Pete Alonso was the leader of that team and beloved in New York, beloved by Mets fans. And you're going to let him go over a few $1 million or a couple years on the contract when you can afford it? Like the Blue Jays figured this out. They gave Vlad Guerrero Jr. An absurd contract, a ridiculous amount of money. But he's Toronto's guy. And so it fires up the fan base. You sell more tickets. You sell more jerseys. You foster loyalty with your fan base. And you keep a good player around. And you worry about year 14 of Vlad's deal when you get there. Worry about year 5 of Pete Alonso's contract when you get to year 5 of his contract. Keep him in a Mets uniform. He never should have been anything but a Met. Feel bad for Mets fans today. Meanwhile, Baltimore's starting pitching still sucks. Like they've added to their lineup this offseason, but their starting pitching rotation, I think I'm going to be their number 4 starter next year as it currently projects. So they've got a ways to go. Let's take a timeout. That's it for 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes next here on 580 Sports Talk. Texter from the 913 makes a cool point about the Royals picking 6th overall in the upcoming Major League Baseball entry draft next summer. They've only ever picked 6th twice in franchise history, and the players they picked with the number 6 overall picks, Jack Caglione and Zach Greinke. So maybe the future and one of the great pitchers in franchise history. So naturally, being the baseball dork that I am, I had to go look and see who the best player the Royals have selected at each draft position in the first round was. I'm going to go in reverse order from 10 to 1 real quick. Are you ready? Let's go. Best player the Royals ever took, number 10 overall, Michael Tucker. He was drafted as a shortstop. Had a nice little career, 8.1 wins above replacement. Best player drafted 9th overall, Kevin Appier, not even close. Best player drafted 8th overall, Blake Mitchell. He hasn't made it to the major leagues yet, so he's been worth 0 wins above replacement, but that's 2.9 wins above replacement more than Hunter Dozier. So it's Blake Mitchell by default. Best player picked 7th. This is a gross group. The answer is Kyle Snyder. It's a gross group. Best player taken 6th, Zach Greinke, obviously. Best player taken 5th, Kyle Zimmer. 0 wins above replacement, but that's better than Bubba Starling, Jeff Granger, and Roy Branch. And at least he made the bigs, which Chris Lubanski did not. Best player pick number 4 overall by the Royals, Christian Colon. They've had terrible luck with the number 4 overall pick. The other picks, Jeff Austin, Mike Stodolka, and Asa Lacy, PU. Best player taken 3rd, only one answer to that question. That's Eric Hosmer. Best player taken 7th, for now it's Alex Gordon. 2nd, rather. For now it's Alex Gordon, but Bobby Witt Jr. will probably pass him. And the only player taken number 1 overall by the Royals, Luke Hochevar. 3.7 wins above replacement from the number 1 overall pick is not generally what you want. Anyhow, thanks for taking that trip down memory lane with me. Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. He spoke to the media. Let's hear a piece of that from earlier today.
Everybody involved, that all your pass catchers, that they're going to try to keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I think just knowing the guys, the mindset that they have is they're going to try to get better and try to go out there and win football games. And that, at the end of the day, that's what we got to do. It's everybody. It's throwing the ball in the right spots, catching the ball. It's blocking, it's defense playing like they did this last game, and then just trying to find ways to win. That's what this is all about. So don't always have to be pretty, but you got to find ways to win football games, and that's something we have to be better at.
Patrick, in what way, if at all, does where you guys are affect this week during the game? Do you feel it at all?
I mean, we understand we got to win. I mean, I think that's plain, that's obvious. I mean, just like you got to win the football game, and so whatever it takes, I mean, we say that every week, but obviously you're kind of at that back against the wall type spot where you're playing a team that's you're chasing that has a big lead in front of you, and so you got to find a way to win. And so you got to have that mindset when you step on the football field.
Patrick, what stood out to you the most looking back at your own game Sunday? What sorts of things will stay with you?
Yeah, just little things here and there. I mean, just trying to keep drives going, and there's times to be aggressive, and there's times when just get the ball out of your hand and let guys make plays. And I think that was something that when I look back at myself is there were certain times in certain spots of the game where I could have maybe taken a completion instead of trying to go for the home run shot. So that's stuff I have to continue to get better at.
When it comes to this Chargers defense, obviously playing them in Brazil seems so long ago. Do you see any differences, or do you see a lot of the same attacking type?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's differences and there's the same. You get better as the season goes on. You learn about yourself, and they do a good job of the defensive line kind of playing as a unit, getting to the quarterback. The linebackers fly around with speed, and obviously Derwin can play kind of the secondary or kind of in the box as well. And so they have a great job of kind of playing complementary football together as a defense, and then they have a great defensive coordinator, and so it's a heck of a challenge for us, and so we're excited for it.
You could rip 4 games off in a row.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of how I'm wired. It's just that I believe that this team can win any football game, but we have to come and show that, and so this will be a great challenge for us, and we understand that, and we'll have to have a great week of practice, try to prepare ourselves, and then just try to way to win it on Sunday.
Responsibility as far as during the week to make sure nobody's down, right? Because this is really unfamiliar territory for almost everybody on this roster to be in the hunt, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, you have to just make sure you have a great day of practice. We had a great walkthrough. We just came from, and now it's just going into practice and have a great day of practice. Kind of getting extra work in with the guys on the side, like I always do. And then when you're in when you're in that practice and that work, you have conversations with guys and kind of keep them in the right mindset. But I haven't had any looks at like seeing guys down or anything like that. Obviously, you want to win, and guys hate losing. But at the end of the day, we know that we have to handle our business first. We have to win the football games and then let the rest kind of handle itself.
If you look back to Sunday and maybe review film, how protected do you feel behind the offensive line from replacement?
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. That's a great defensive line, and with a lot of guys coming in, kind of in the game as well, and then kind of stepping up. I thought they did a great job of fighting and battling, and giving me time to make some of these throws down the field. And so they'll have to continue that. This is another great challenge for them, and hopefully we get some guys back as well. So it'll be a great challenge for us as an offense to go up against this defense.
That's some of what Patrick Mahomes had to say earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, ask me a question on the text line, 785-272-9429, or in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. It's Ask Me Anything to wind down the show on this Wednesday on 580 Sports Talk. Bit of snafu there. The one gotta go bed got in there. Usually we do one gotta go on Wednesdays, but when it's just me, sometimes we shift gears. And that's what we're doing here with a little one, with not one gotta go. Wow, been a long day. Ask me anything. AMA on the program. Get your questions into the text line 785-272-9429 or the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, or the Facebook comments, WIBW News. I'll get to as many as I can. From the text line, we'll take the sports questions first. From the 785, who's your Final Four in the college football playoff? I'm going with the top seeds. I know that's not terribly imaginative, but I think Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech are the four best teams in college football. And I have a hard time seeing either of them losing a first-round game. I think the team that's probably in the most danger is Tech, because they're the 4 and they would play the best. They would play the 5. I think Oregon's going to handle James Madison. But I think Tech is really good. Watched them all year. I think they're outstanding. Georgia and Ohio State, to me, are still the 2 best teams in college football. It's amazing they're going to play in a semifinal. And Indiana, they're undefeated. What more proof do you need? They've beat Ohio State. What more proof do you need that they're good? So I think it's going to be the top 4 seeds. I do. I know there was last year you had number 1 overall seed, Oregon get beat. Those were extreme circumstances. That's not happening this year. I think it's going to be the top 4 seeds that go through. More Ask Me Anything sports version. Let's do Jeffrey's question here. If the Chiefs are eliminated, should Andy Reid sit Patrick Mahomes and give backup some playing time? I think they would only do that if they lost, if they were in position where they could not have a winning season. If they lose 2 of their next 3 and they're 7-9 going into the final week, so there's not even a winning season, there's literally nothing to play for, then maybe you think about sitting Mahomes if that knee's still barking at him. But no, I don't think it's going to get to that point either way. And I think as long as there is something to play for, playoff berth, winning season, as long as there's something to play for, starters are going to be out there. Mark B wants to know if I think the Nuggets and Avs are going to win championships this year. Of course I do. I always think the Nuggets and the Avalanche are going to win championships. Nuggets have to get healthy. Christian Brown's still out with an ankle. Aaron Gordon's still out with a hamstring. I'm more worried about that one long-term than I am CB. But they're pretty great. One problem, Oklahoma City might be historically great. But nobody played them closer in the playoffs last year. Nobody played them tougher than the Nuggets. So if anybody's beaten Oklahoma City, I still think it's Denver. I hope they get the chance. And the Avalanche are on a historic pace in the NHL, even though they did lose in a shootout to Nashville last night. They've only got, I think, 2 regulation losses so far, and we're getting close to the halfway point of the season. You never know with hockey, but they're so talented. If they stay healthy through the playoffs and manage to avoid playing the Dallas Stars, I do think the Avs raise their 4th cup in franchise history. I'm enthusiastic. I'm more optimistic about the Avalanche than the Nuggets because Oklahoma City might be they might go 78-4. Man, they just don't lose. They're incredible. Another sports question from the 785. What position do the Chiefs draft in next year? I feel like wherever they end up, I think I saw a mock draft. Field Yates did a mock draft today. I think he had the Chiefs drafting 14th. For what it's worth, he had him taking Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. If the Chiefs end up in the middle of the draft, which right now is where they are in target to pick, I think they'll trade back. I think they'll trade back in the first round for some additional picks. They've only got 6 picks next year, and they've done some good work in the early to mid-20s. That's where they got Trent McDuffie, for instance. So I'll just throw a number out. I'll say they'll draft 23rd. They'll trade back. They'll end up 16, 17, and I think they'll trade back to add a day 3 pick if they can. I think they'll be busy trying to add picks in the coming draft. Let's see if we've got any non-sports questions. You can ask whatever you want. It's Ask Me Anything. It's the name of the segment. But again, get your questions to the text line, 785-272-9429, or the YouTube comments. Vance wants to know what I think the worst Christmas song ever is. Great question. A lot of people think that it's Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I unironically love that song. I think that's a great song. I think if you hate that song, that's a you problem. The worst Christmas song is Last Christmas by Wham. That song sucks. That song's been covered over and over again, and nobody's been able to make it good. Last Christmas bites. That is the worst Christmas song. The best Christmas song is Christmas at Hollis by Run DMC. See some other ones here on the YouTube chat. Mark wants to know what we've got planned for Christmas, the Lucero family, what we're doing for Christmas. We're going to stay here, and we're going to make it a special day for Asher. We've already got the tree up this year. We're trying to convince Asher that the ornaments are meant to stay on the tree. They are not balls to be taken off and thrown. That's tough convincing an 18-month-old of that, especially one who loves to play with balls of all sizes like my son does. He has a beach ball he loves. He has a little baseball that he likes. And now he likes the ornaments on the tree. So we're trying to keep him on the tree as best we can. But no, we're going to stay in town. We're going to keep it pretty low key on Christmas Day. My folks are going to come to town and visit following Christmas, so I'll get to see some family. But going to keep it here, keep it low key, and make it as special for the little guy as we possibly can. Another Christmas question here from Mark H. White lights or colored lights on trees, Christmas trees? White lights on the Christmas tree. Personal preference, what I grew up with. Colored lights outside, also my preference. I just put ours up yesterday. It was the last nice day we were going to have. Did it on my lunch break. It's very, very low-key light display, but I like having them. I used to drive around as a younger man. I'd drive around wherever I happened to be living at the time, and I'd look at the Christmas lights, and I'd think, it'd be really nice to have my own house to be able to hang up Christmas lights on someday. And now that I have one, I get to do it, and it makes me happy. And Asher really liked them. He got a big kick out of him when he saw him yesterday. So colored lights outside, white lights on the trees. Let's see if we've got some more questions here. We got a couple more minutes. Paul in the YouTube comments. Favorite event you've ever covered? Favorite venue you've ever covered an event at? Favorite event I ever covered was a Final Four. Covered the Final Four in 2018. You know, the one that officially Kansas didn't actually go to. But I was there. I saw the game. I saw them get 3 to death by Villanova. I was there at the Alamo Dome. That was super cool. That was the lifelong dream. It was one of the first sports things I can remember as a really little guy was my parents taking me to the 1990 Final Four practice at McNichols Sports Arena in Denver. Back when they used to have the Final Four in arenas and not football stadiums. So I got to go see the practice session before the Final Four with Duke and Georgia Tech and Arkansas and UNLV. It's one of the first things I remember. I just remember thinking how cool and how big it all felt. College basketball as a whole was probably my first very favorite sport. I got more into baseball as I got older. But the Final Four was a lifelong dream for me to go to and attend. And my favorite venue I've ever covered a sporting event at, it's got to be Allen Fieldhouse, just for like the nostalgia and the history. And some of the games I've gotten to see there have been unbelievable. So Allen Fieldhouse, probably my favorite venue. Other questions? Handle these real quick. From the 785, did we get Asher and Elf on the shelf? No, we have not. Do I think peppermint is overrated? It depends on who's rating it. I think peppermint's fine. I just don't need a lot of it. I like a candy cane here and there, but I don't need like peppermint-flavored drinks. That's how I feel about peppermint. I got a long break to take here, so I'm going to take it. Thanks for the questions, everybody. Really good stuff. I enjoyed that, as I always do. We'll come back and wrap up the show after this. And we literally don't have time for one of these. I'm Dan Lucero. This has been 580 Sports Talk. Good night.